We're doing round 13 tips, and I have a very special guest here with me today. I have Ange from Ankle Sore. How are you?
G'day, Cindye. How are you? Good to see you.
I had a rough week. I picked 3 out of the 7 games, although I was really proud of myself because I did pick the Bombers to lose, and I did pick the Crows to lose. So
well.
I mean, a little pat on the back for me.
You've done well. I
Okay.
missed out on Fremantle, and I had Fremantle picked on a Sunday morning, and I changed my tip on a Sunday morning. I thought, what am I doing picking Fremantle? Changed it to Melbourne. I was only 92 points out.
So let's get to this next week's round. The first game of the round is Adelaide versus Richmond, 14th versus 17th. It's another Thursday night at the Adelaide Oval. Did you watch both these teams play this past week?
Yeah, I watched both sides. I thought Richmond's been pretty good the last 2 weeks, particularly against Geelong.
Yeah.
They were, 5 goals up in the second quarter?
Yeah.
And then they ran out of they've already ran out of personnel. Look, the Crows are in a bit of a rough patch at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. It's kind of disappointing to watch because, you know, they do have a lot of talent and they can be very exciting, but it just seems that they kind of fizzle out here and there. Who loses and why?
Richmond lose.
Okay.
I think the travel factor.
Yeah.
I think the Adelaide Crows are hard to beat in Adelaide. They always are. Richmond's had a good couple of weeks, but I just saw signs of fatigue by the Tigers late on Saturday night in that game.
I gotcha. Well, I would agree with you. I think this is a necessary win for the Crows. I think
They need it.
Yeah, Matty Nix needs it more than anybody. I think, you know, he's on the chopping board, as they say. Or do you say that, or do we say that?
Yeah, the chopping board. Yeah, he's on the chopping board, absolutely.
Yeah.
Taylor Walker, I don't know if he'll play. He had a back injury, and Dusty's playing his 300th, but who knows if he'll have the week off and played in Melbourne. Not sure.
It would make sense for him just to sit it out because the expectations are so low anyway, right?
Yeah,
it's like
even more reason why Richmond won't win. Because Dusty's been at his best the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and Lafau. I'm never going to get it straight. Yeah.
Lafau.
I believe he's injured, and he's like their little shining light right now.
Well, yeah, and him out and Bolton's still out with concussion. They've got no small forwards.
Yeah, all the exciting ones are out.
All the X factors.
So we're in agreement on the first one that Richmond is going down.
Gonna lose.
All right, very good. Moving right along, we have Western Bulldogs against the Lions, 11th versus 13th, Friday night at Marvel. Now, this happens to be a home game for the Bulldogs as opposed to their away game they played at Marvel this past weekend.
Work
Go
that
figure.
Work that out.
Let's see. Notting's out. Waitman's out. Libba's out for the Bulldogs, okay? Both these teams have a history of players just not showing up. So who loses and why?
Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions lose. And coming from someone that tipped the Lions to win the flag, I think they are shot. I think they are shot. And the Dogs are going the other way. They've got a sniff. They've beaten Collingwood. They're looking to play finals. Brisbane, their game plan looks a little bit slow. I'm going the Dogs. Come to Melbourne and lose again, Brisbane.
All right. Well, I disagree with you. This is where it gets fun. I think the Bulldogs are going to lose. And I'm basing that strictly on the fact that they're so inconsistent from week to week. They do have these big players out. And I think it's Brisbane's season is kind of shot, but I think there's still like the ego factor, and it's sort of like do or die. Like they have to win. I feel like they have to win this game. So there might be a little bit more fire in the belly, so to speak, right? So
they have to play better.
Yeah. So I'm going with Bulldogs to lose.
Sticking with the Dogs.
So in the news this week, Rory Lobb has requested yet another transfer. So what do you think about that?
Great idea. It should happen more often. I love it.
You should just pass him around every year to a new team, right?
Look, this bloke has come to the club. I know it's his 4th club. No, was it his 4th club? 3rd club? He's looking for a 4th club.
Okay.
But you know what? He was promised to play, and he hasn't been given games.
Yeah.
And rightly so, you know, Darcy, O'Donnell and Norton.
Yeah.
But if the bloke doesn't feel there's a spot there for him, Move him on. What about we could loan players out? You loan them out. So the Dogs loan him out to whoever club needs him. Yeah. And then at the end of the year, that club that takes him has a choice of either, it's a little bit like the EPL, where that club can say, we're going to keep Rory Lobb on. The soccer.
Okay.
Where they transfer and they loan out players.
Yes. So I just learned about this because I don't know if there's a show called Welcome to Wrexham where it's Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. And so they just talked about this in the episode I watched the other night about loaning the players out, and I didn't know. So I like this idea. I like where you're going with it.
In soccer, and don't quote me on it, but you're allowed to loan them out, and then at the end of the 6 months, you choose as the club to bring him back or move him on. But in AFL, I reckon it would be better off you move the player on. Yeah. At the end of the 6 months, whatever club, then that club has a choice. Look, we're going to keep him, or he goes into the draft and then he goes back into a trade. But it's got to happen.
But the only problem that I can see is that, like, at least the loans aren't the loans in the English football league. Yeah. They're in different divisions. Or can they loan to the same division?
Yeah, you can go same division. Yeah. But look, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you, if you're a bottom of the table side, play some sort of a role in being more competitive in the back half of the year? Okay. And same as top sides. Look, we need another player to top off, potentially. What does Carlton need? Carlton are going all right, but wouldn't another defender be nice? Wouldn't another... So everyone gets involved. So we're not just tipping here. We're coming up with solutions. That's right. Solutions and tipping. Are you watching losers AFL? And solutions. Okay, but what would the downside be to this scheme of yours? Rory Lobb goes to Collingwood and kicks 50 goals in the second half of the year. That would be the downside for the Dogs. Yes, it doesn't seem like it would serve the Western Bulldogs to actually let him go. Absolutely not. You sit him in the VFL, the reserves, and he sits there as an emergency in case Aaron Norton, like what happened last week, went down with a knee. So, no, they wouldn't want to be moving him on. And he had a good game this week, actually, when he came in, right? Yeah, he was okay. Yeah. He's a good footballer. There's a home for him somewhere. He's inconsistent, though. He's like a part-timer. He's a part-timer. Have you looked at him closely? He looks like Marty McFly's dad. Yes. You Google his images. He looks like Marty McFly's dad. Okay, so game 2, you're picking Lions to lose, and I'm picking Bulldogs. That's right. So game 3, Hawthorn versus the Giants. So it's 7th versus 12th, Saturday afternoon in Tasmania. How about those Hawks? They're enjoying their footy. And that's the most important thing. You enjoy your footy, and that's the results. That's the fruits of the reward. Is that how it's said? Something like that. But you know what I'm talking about. I do know. I actually enjoy watching them play. I usually give them a lot of credit where other people don't. Yep. But they're playing GWS, and I think you know how I feel about GWS. I do. We're getting Callum Brown finally comes back from his little 3-week vacation. Let's see. They say Bali's really nice this time of year. That's what I hear, right? But the Giants do have a lot of players out. Kelly's out, Ash is out, Canelio's out, Perriman's out, Jack Buckley's out. However, I could rattle off, another 5 awesome players that are playing. I think their bench is pretty deep. List. Yeah. But it is a home game for the Hawks in Tasmania. It is. So who loses and why? It's time for the Hawks to drop one. Okay. GWS, if they are serious about, back half of the year, playing finals. Yeah. How disappointing would it be for GWS to go to Geelong 2 weeks ago, win the way they won, have the bye, and then go to Tassie and lose to Hawthorn? It's a vital game, and I think they're up for it. Yeah, so it's so important for them. I think it's going to be tough. I don't think it's going to be a breeze, but I think Hawthorn will lose. I think that they're really good, but they're not there yet. And I think that the Giants' experience and their list
and Toby effing Green.
Toby's. What about his goal?
He's coming back. Yeah, he's had a good couple weeks. Finally, the baby stuff is maybe settling down a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
And cutie little Sam Taylor, he's going to stop everything. So all right. So I think Hawthorn loses. We're in agreement.
To lose. Yep.
Yeah. So will it take 3, 4, 5 years? When do the Hawks win a flag?
5 years.
5 years.
It's a very broad question. I hear a lot of people say, I think Hawthorn's going to win a flag before West Coast do, those sort of comments. It's 5 years away. 3, I could not possibly see that.
No.
They definitely need players. They need another player down back. They need another forward.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're enjoying their footy at the moment. What about when the real stuff happens?
Yeah. Isn't it funny? I think I was telling this to Andy. Ginnivan, when he was playing for Collingwood, I wasn't a fan. And now, he's so much fun to watch.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah, just changed his jumper.
I don't hate him.
He seems happy. I don't know. Is that a weird thing to say? He seems more joyful in his football.
He is. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I hear that's his childhood team. So maybe that has something to do with it. Yeah. Who knows? All right.
We want to play for our childhood team, although I wouldn't want to play for mine at the moment.
No. Well, you might help.
I think I'll get a game with my childhood team.
You might help them win. So speaking of your childhood team, West Coast Eagles will be playing North Melbourne. It's the 16th team versus the 18th team. They're playing at Optus on Saturday morning. Did you watch the St Kilda and Eagles game from this weekend?
Yeah, it was the most horrible game that I've seen in a long time. I had time to make scrambled eggs. I had time to have a coffee. It was lovely, but it was so boring.
Harley Reid, as everybody on the planet who even doesn't watch football probably knows, will be out. He's got a 2-game ban. I don't know if they're going to contest that appeal it. But he's out. Tim Kelly's out. Jack Waterman is having this whole gastro thing again. God bless him.
Where is he?
So I read that he had to go to the hospital, or as you say, he had to go to hospital.
You have to go to, what do you say?
We say the.
We say the hospital.
Go to hospital. We go to school, but we go to the hospital, if that makes any sense.
Yes, that's right. I understand.
You guys don't use it. Yeah. I mean, it's such a shame. He's been having the season of a lifetime. He was top 5 for the Coleman, right? I think he was 3. Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, he's out. He's going to be out again, as far as I know. I mean, things can change. We tipped last week, and then all of a sudden you find out all these people are out later, right? But Liam Ryan, on the other hand, started to get his mojo back this past week. He scored a couple goals. He was great at some goal assists. He's coming back into form, which is exciting. North Melbourne had a bye. Does that help?
They'll get even more rustier.
So who loses and why?
Well, you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
I think
North Melbourne loses because I don't think North Melbourne can win a game of football.
Oh, it's so sad. So sad.
They will
for
go
North
0-23, in my opinion.
Oh, poor Shiesel.
And you're playing. You're going interstate. You're traveling. You're going to West Coast. Do play well.
Yeah, usually.
At home.
Usually.
They do play well at home.
They do. Yeah.
And they only lost to St Kilda by a couple of goals, and it wasn't those last 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, good points.
North Melbourne are not as good as St Kilda.
Yeah. So
North Melbourne. North will lose.
I agree. North Melbourne lose. I think if they have a chance at winning any games, it might be this game, especially with all the outs. However.
Possibly.
And they did, I think, win their only game last year at Optus against the Eagles in 2023.
Who's that? North
Melbourne.
No,
they won the first game of the
Tasmania.
round.
They did too, but that was at Marvel in Melbourne. You're right, yes.
I'm going to stick to my guns. I believe in the Eagles. So North Melbourne to lose. Right?
Fair enough.
All right.
Yep.
Moving right along. So all of your favorite teams, St Kilda versus Gold Coast Suns. 15th.
I'm sick of it.
So St Kilda is sitting, we say sitting. They're 15th versus 8th. You don't say that, right? They're sitting.
Yeah, we say sitting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
There's some things I say that don't equate or you guys just don't use. But okay, so they're sitting 15th versus the 8th. It's a Saturday game at Marvel. It's funny. I thought Andy was going to be here. I was going to say, I told him that the Suns were going to win, and he's like, yeah. But they did. I knew Essendon was going to lose. Well, I knew. And I know
the Bombers, yes, yeah,
your man, what's his name, Bomber Thompson.
Bomber Thompson.
Yeah, but let's talk about this. This St Kilda, Liam Henry, I think, is supposed to be out. Dan Butler's out. It is a home game for St Kilda, and he's out too.
Yeah, his knee.
Oh, that's not
so
good.
we don't get to see the King brothers play against each other. Well, not against each other because they'll be at opposite ends.
Oh, that would have been fun. Aw.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't trust, and in the show I picked the Gold Coast, but I am thinking Gold Coast will lose this.
Yeah.
I don't trust them to come to Melbourne to win a game. They haven't won a game in Melbourne yet.
I know. What's wrong with these people? Like, they're a good side, except for when they're not a good side, right?
That's right.
It's
but they're good at home, and then they get on that flight, and it's the boarding pass. As soon as they get that boarding pass,
the X-ray machine, they have to put their hands up, and like something just like
they're in trouble.
Activates them. I don't know.
Something in Gold Coast will lose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I would be pleasantly surprised if
Did you see me duck
win.
out the way? Andrew just threw something at me then.
No. Be good, Andy. So, all right. Sounds like we have some more agreements here. So, this one is a good one. Cindye versus Geelong. Okay, so we got 1 versus 3, although the third spot right now is pretty much like a 3-way tie, I believe. Let's see. Is Dangerfield still out? I don't know. Apparently, Ollie Henry's out.
I think so. Yeah, he'll be out.
Cindye might be due for a loss. I don't know.
Is there such a thing in any sport?
Yeah.
That a team's due for a loss?
I think so.
Really?
Essendon was due for a loss, and they did. They lost.
Yeah, and the media today are all saying, it was the loss Essendon had to have. Really? Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, I don't know. This is also, I don't know if it's superstition too, but I feel like if you win, and you don't lose ever on the way to the championship, then that might be your loss. So it's like, get the loss out of the way, you know?
True.
Kind of feeling. But I think that's superstitious nonsense.
This is true.
Who loses and why?
Geelong loses because their seeding is not equivalent to their ranking. They are seeded 3, but they are not ranked 3.
Yeah.
And Sydney are a good side. They'll be fresh from the bye. They're at home. They play that ground well.
Yep.
I think Sydney comfortably. So I'm thinking Geelong will lose.
Yeah. Are Geelong a legitimate top 8 team, or are they not even? Should they not even be ranked?
Sydney.
Imposters,
Cindye. They will not finish in the 8. They'll fall out.
You think so? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know how I feel about that. I have to give it some thought.
Give it a bit of thought.
Yeah, I have to give it a little bit of thought. Do you think that Tom Hawkins will actually retire after this season?
Done. Yes.
Yes?
Yep. Can't move. Can't move out of his own shadow at the moment. He needs it straight in front. He needs it right there. Right. That's all he can do. The ball hits the ground, he's gone.
So that sounds like it would leave a pretty big hole in Geelong's scoring power.
Well, it certainly does, because of his history and his background of how many goals he's kicked. But has he left that much of a hole this year? I mean, he's only kicked 3 goals in the last 6 weeks.
He had a bad month. I think there was 4 games in a row where he didn't score. But wasn't he scoring at the beginning of the season?
He was scoring early. He was scoring early when Geelong were winning early. So, on that, it would leave a bit of a hole. Who comes in? Well, Jeremy Cameron has to go back into that forward half. They're playing him really high up. Isolate Jeremy Cameron. Play him in his correct position, because at the moment he's out on a wing. He's high. I don't know why. Bring him back. Play him in front of the sticks. Okay. 1 out. He can kick 80 goals next year, Jeremy Cameron. That's next year, though.
Next year. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. All right. So Geelong is losing the runaway freight train, as I like to call them, Sydney Swans. Are not going to lose at home. Yeah.
Not the Cindye Swans.
Not the So, next game, Essendon versus Carlton. Now, I understand Inglesore is going to be doing a very special live stream this weekend. Middle of the night for me, but if you guys are awake at 7 p.m. on a Saturday night, you should join them because it's actually great fun. How do we find this live stream?
Yeah, so jump onto Ankle Sore, our channel, and you'll find it live stream at 7:20 Melbourne time. And we're just going to be going through probably the most interesting game that we've seen in a few weeks, and particularly the Carlton Essendon game, 90,000. The brothers versus the brothers. It's second versus fifth. So it's an important game and integral to the top four.
So are both of these teams legitimate premiership contenders?
Carlton, definitely. I think they turned a corner. Definitely.
Okay.
They're in a better position this year than they were last year.
Okay.
Essendon, no. And when I say no, they'll make finals, but I don't think they're contenders.
They'll make finals because they're so far ahead in the
They'll make finals because they've improved. They've improved their list, and they're winning games of footy, and they're winning them, with more authority and more meaningful victories. Whereas last year they were winning games that were not convincing to me.
I see. So I do think that Langford looks like he might be out. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Which is a big loss for them, right?
Huge blow.
He's really stepped up this year, I think.
Huge blow.
And then you've got Stringer, who has shown up this year. Is that his favorite?
Essendon's playing better too.
Yeah.
Makes it a hell of a lot easier.
So where does Zach Merritt finish in the Brownlow if it keeps going this way?
He'll finish in the top 5 comfortably.
Yeah.
And I think he can finish top 3. I don't think he can win it, but I certainly think he's, at the moment, top 3 and definitely in the top 5 as an AFL player at the moment.
Who's your number 1 pick right now for the Brownlow?
Bond's playing tremendous footy.
Oh, okay.
Playing tremendous footy. I mean, look at his last quarter last week.
Yeah.
So
you're not on Team Dacos.
I don't think he's playing as well as he did last year, and he's playing well this year.
These are fighting words.
I know. Do you agree or no?
How dare you? I don't actually even know, honestly, with him, because it's like he's look. We're not gonna argue that he's not a great player, right? But some of the stuff that they're counting, I mean, you're the data guy. He gets for kick-ins or I don't know, just stupid stuff.
Irrelevant stats. So you're agreeing with me that Bont is,
I think he's a great player, and he's let his hair grow out this year, and I think
no one said that. Do you like it like that?
I like it a bit longer.
I think he's playing a role in some sort of a movie part, and that's why he's got to grow it out. Yeah.
I have a lot of opinions about hairstyles of the players. I do. I have
some
lot.
Ugly ones.
The last game of the week, there's only 8 games, I think, this week, is Collingwood versus Melbourne, 9th versus 10th. It's a Sunday evening. Oh, because you said it's a holiday.
Monday.
That's it.
Yeah, so it's the King's birthday.
Oh, okay. So it's actually Monday.
It's a Monday game, yeah.
Okay, and it's at the MCG. Of course, it's at the MCG. Where else would it be? There are 4 teams sitting at 28 points right now. I think that includes Collingwood, if I have that right.
That's right. Yep.
What happened to Melbourne? I mean, what the hell happened to Melbourne this week?
You know what, Cindye? If Melbourne was a racehorse, if Melbourne was a racehorse or a thoroughbred, I think they'd be getting tested. What's going on? What is going on?
I mean,
you go to Alice Springs, and Alice Springs, Central Australia.
Yeah.
But it was 16 degrees. It was 50% humidity. It was a beautiful day to play football. Fremantle had never played at that ground either.
Okay.
What is going on?
I can't even say maybe they took Freo for granted because, I mean, Freo's a good team, so you can't use that. Like, maybe if it was North Melbourne, we could have been like, oh, yeah, they were partying last night. I don't know. I mean, what happened to Melbourne? Oh.
They looked so slow.
Yeah.
They looked unfit, and they just looked disinterested. And those 3 combinations are going to pull your pants down every time.
Do you think that there's a sign of, is it was it just an off day? And like, you know, because I always think about these guys when they're playing, like even, you know, I'm watching the Eagles and things are unraveling and you're just like, how do you stop things from unraveling? Right. So is it a case where it just like they couldn't stop the momentum of what was happening, or is there deeper problems? Like, is there stuff going on at the club again that we don't know about? Or,
well,
you know what I mean?
There's residual, and all that stuff that happened in the preseason doesn't clear up during the course of a season.
Yeah.
And there is residue from that. It has to be.
Yeah.
They rely so heavily on Petrarca and Gawn. Yeah. And Oliver doesn't look right. He hasn't looked right all year. I don't care what anyone says.
Okay.
He hasn't looked right. And it affects a season. And I said this early in the year. It affects a season, not just weeks or months, a season. When everything that happened to them, but also, they're really struggling to score. And their top 2 players, 3 players, if they're not firing, they fall away really quick.
So Petrarca, you know, he looks like he's a nice, good Italian boy cooking with his grandma. And Gawn seems pretty straight as an arrow, so to speak, you know, solid citizen. Do you think if there was all this culture questions going on with Melbourne, how do you think it would affect them?
100% challenging.
Yeah.
They'll do it because they're professionals.
Yeah.
But they would not have liked, and this is only my opinion, they would not have liked what went down. I wouldn't surprise me if they turn around and say, what are you doing? You're playing in the country's highest paid, most professional competition we have, and you're carrying on like that? No, that'd be filthy.
So let's see. So there's no Cox, no DeGoey, no Elliott, no McStay. I don't think Pendlebury is playing.
That's right. Myercheck, yep.
So Collingwood is pretty decimated.
Elliott.
Elliott. I heard Elliott may not come back. Did you hear that today?
Yeah, I heard that today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I haven't read anything. I think I saw a little blip on Instagram, which was shocking. So who loses and why?
Melbourne loses. You can't just recover in 1 week from a 15-goal belting.
Yeah.
Come from Alice Springs. And let's be honest, Collingwood were in front early in the last quarter on Friday night.
Yeah.
They do have injuries.
Yeah.
But they are still playing for each other. They still have a culture. They still have one soldier in, one soldier out. Let's get the job done.
Okay.
Melbourne, I can't see them recovering from 15-goal loss. Not in 1 week.
So I'm just going out on a limb. This is like the wild card.
You're not
I'm
picking,
saying
you are not doing this.
Yeah, Collingwood lose.
How, Cindye? How?
Sorry, Suze. I'm so sorry to all my Collingwood friends. I just think there's too many. I think there's too many injuries.
Too many outs?
I just think there's too many injuries, and I think the Demons again, like pride. I think they got their asses whooped, and I think there's gonna be some like stern talking to, and there's gonna they have to do better. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a close game.
On that.
Yeah, I think this time, I think Melbourne's going to win. So
you can wear that. You can wear that.
That's all right. So, I have a question for you. If you were going down the slide into the freeze pool, what costume would you be wearing?
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie.
I know Revolt's already done it, but I love it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You dressed as Freddie Mercury?
Got it. Yep.
Why? Why Freddie Mercury?
He's a superstar, isn't he?
He
was a superstar.
I need to get one of those beanies. I don't have one of those beanies yet. I'm going to get one. You heard it here. I'm going to get myself a
one
freeze.
down. We'll try and hunt one down.
Yeah, get me a beanie, would you? All right, guys. So you heard it here with Ange from Ankle Sore. I hope you all have an awesome footy weekend and have a great time on the King's birthday. See you next time.